Good morning. Good morning. While we're on a short production break, I wanted to bring back an episode that's a little more personal, but one that a lot of you really connected with. And that is episode 005, 30 Lessons I've Learned in My 30s So Far. And it's honestly exactly what it sounds like. The things that have really shaped how I think, how I move in the world, and how I see my life at this point in time. Not a polished version at all, and definitely not a highlight reel, but some real lived lessons that come from getting things wrong, figuring things out on your own, moving abroad, and slowly becoming a more honest version of yourself. If you're in your 30s or even approaching them, I think that this episode will feel very familiar and hopefully very comforting. And if you're in a moment where you're reflecting on who you are and where you're going, I think this is a really good one to sit with. And if some of what comes up in this episode feels a little bit too close to home and maybe a little tender, especially around identity, direction, or decision making, this is the kind of work I do in my one-to-one sessions privately with clients. But for now, let's get into the episode. Good morning and happy Thursday. Welcome back to the podcast. So first off, if my audio is not as crisp as it normally is, please forgive me, but I didn't want to miss a week just because I'm not at home. So we're just going to get it done. As you can tell by today's title, 30 Lessons I've Learned in My 30s. I am still in my 30s, and I thought that this was a good list to create because it's things that I have learned, things that I'm currently learning, and the inner work is never really done, right? It's a constant thing. We are constantly growing. We are in constant evolution and forever in bloom, I like to say. So there will be many times in my life, in your life, where you are faced with lessons that you feel like you've learned already. And why am I still learning this? And why does this situation feel so intense when I've been through this before? And that's why I think it's not necessarily lessons that I've learned and I've stacked away. It's things that I'm constantly learning, but are now at the forefront of my mind, if that makes sense. This is also the kind of wisdom I wish someone had told me earlier. I mean, I don't know if I would have listened. I can be a little bit hard-headed, but I'm also someone who, one, I don't like to learn my lessons more than once. Two, I've always been very good at learning lessons through other people. So maybe I would have learned. I'm not sure. But I had to go through and grow through from my own experience. These are not your typical, like, drink more water platitudes, although drinking more water is always good. But these are real and a few unconventional things that I have learned that have really transformed my perspective and in terms my life. So get comfy, grab a drink, let's go. The first few are on health and fitness, and nothing humbles you like your health, fitness, and your body in your 30s. In your 20s, you are high flying. Like, whether or not it's a struggle for you, it infinitely becomes more of a struggle in your 30s, and you just don't really take things as seriously. Like when I was in my early 20s working retail, I used to eat mall food and down like 2 monsters a day, and I thought I was totally fine. Like, that's totally normal. That's a balanced diet. I'm staying energized. What a train wreck. I would literally never do that now. So, like I said, nothing humbles you like your health and fitness in your 30s. So here are a few things that I learned. Like any piece of advice, guys, take what resonates and leave the rest. I'm here to serve up a different perspective, not the only one. Lesson number one, and the most important one, is your body is your only home you will ever have. Life is short, but it's also long, and too fucking long for you to hate it. This is very clear. I can't say that I've never had body image issues, but I know that I'm really good at shutting it down because I don't see a life worth living if I just hate my body. Your body is the only one you're ever going to have. You are never going to be able to trade it with anybody. You can lose weight, you can gain weight, you can gain muscle, you can lose muscle, all of the things. But your body is still your body, and I don't think hating it is ever going to make it transform into something that you will love. And to be fair, even if you do that, if it's from a place of not being confident, you are going to hate the new version as well.
That's why surgery can become an addiction.
You just end up tweaking and not stopping until you've realized you've gotten too far. Body dysmorphia is a real thing, and I think you need to do your best to love your lumps and bumps. And listen, I know that it is very hard, especially hard for women. There are billion-dollar industries and companies that exist and are profitable purely on our insecurities. So I'm not saying that this is just a wake up and snap your fingers. I'm just saying that there will always be somebody that you may deem prettier, smarter, fitter, wealthier, whatever it is. And when it comes to the physical aspect of your body, I just don't think it's worth carrying that emotional baggage. Invest in yourself physically and mentally and your soul, just like you would your car or your home or anything like that. But ultimately, your body is the vessel carrying you through this beautiful life. And that's more than just aesthetics or longevity. It's truly about just respecting the home that you will only ever own. Lesson number 2, do the workouts that you enjoy and ignore everything else. Fitness, just like fashion, has trends and cycles. And the best thing I ever did for myself was just find workouts that I genuinely enjoyed. All I told myself was, I need to move my body. What are the ways that I personally like? And you just go from there. Now, for me, truth be told, is I like to dance. That is my favorite way to move my body. But I started from there. I found dance classes. I joined them. I joined those really cheesy dance classes that gyms offer because I just knew it's something that I would enjoy. It's something that I wouldn't be counting down the clock. And it really got me into a good groove. Forget about targeting different muscle groups or even like burning X amount of calories in 45 minutes. Like, just move your body in ways that feel good, and the discipline becomes so much easier after that. Now for me, it's like, okay, I found ways that I like. Can I expand on that? Now I do ClassPass because I like having classes in my calendar. That way I know I'm going to go and I'm held to that standard, as opposed to just kind of going to the gym. It's much harder for me to do that. But I cannot emphasize this enough. You will move your body on a regular basis when it's something you actually like. Lesson number 3, stop eating when you're not hungry. So this can go in a million different directions, but I'll keep it really short and concise. Basically, you should aim to eat until you're satiated, like you're comfortable. Like you could eat more, but you don't really need to eat more. Like the hunger is gone. That's typically when you should stop eating. I am very big on intuitive eating and mindful eating. Like, I'm a big believer in not eating out of packages because you end up overeating, and just eating when you're hungry. If you're not hungry, you're not hungry. Now, obviously, I'm not a doctor and there's a million different ways you can slice that, but I just think for the average person, that's really sound advice. I know that growing up, kids are often taught you have to eat your food, like finish your plate, and that can, while it seems harmless, it can really grow into you feeling like you always have to finish what's in front of you. And that's not good, because as you get older and you start to eat out at other places, everyone's portion size is different and you're just eating for the sake of eating when you're not even hungry. So I highly suggest to stop eating when you're not hungry. Take bites, enjoy them, savor them. You also realize that if you are not woofing your food down, you probably don't even want as much food as maybe you have served. You shouldn't feel like you're busting by the end of a meal. That is not also a nice feeling, right? If you do feel like that, highly recommend a 10-minute walk afterwards. It really helps with digestion. But I'm just saying to eat consciously. And honestly, this goes beyond food. Like, stop consuming anything, relationships, media, commitments, anything that no longer serves you just because it's there. Lesson number 4, aim for strength and not thinness. I know that this might also be a trend, but I actually think it's a good one that is finally kind of getting into the conversation, especially when it comes to women's health and fitness. We need muscle. We need to build muscle. We need to lift heavy. This is really important for us, especially as we age. When we get significantly older in our senior citizen age, one of the biggest things for seniors is not falling. Hip replacements and really tragic accidents like that end up having a huge detrimental effect on your life because we lose so much muscle mass, right? We all do as we age, but for women, if we're already starting with less, these kind of things really protect you as you get older. It's not necessarily that you won't fall or you won't get ill, but really, what is your recovery time? What does your recovery look like? Now, again, you might be saying, Shantel, I'm 30, I'm 31, I'm 29. This seems way out of reach and really dramatic, but I promise you it's not. If you get into the habit of moving your body in ways that you enjoy and also starting maybe with resistance training or adding in weights, you will do your future self such a service. One thing I try and do often is look back and say, would my 50-year-old self be happy with this decision? Or would my 60-year-old self be happy with this decision? And it's something I even tie in with when I'm being hard on the way I look. I know that my 50-year-old self, my 60-year-old self, my 70-year-old self is like, bitch, you are hot as fuck. Like, you look so good. Don't spend a single moment thinking you don't look good. Like, I know that woman would trade for my body in a heartbeat. So why am I not just enjoying it while I have it? And I think that we want to do that for our future selves in terms of strength as well. Lesson number 5, move your body daily. Honestly, I don't always get this right. I go through ebbs and flows of working out 4 or 5 days a week, working out twice a week. But the idea is that you want to try and move your body daily, whether that's taking the stairs instead of the elevator, walking to the post office instead of driving, getting off the tube a few stops early and walking home. You want to just kind of move your body as much as possible. This could be waking up out of bed, putting on your favorite playlist and dancing in the morning. Also highly recommend. You will be in a fantastic mood. I can promise you that. This is really just about rewarding your body. Our bodies are our homes. Like I said, they do so much for us. Without it, we really have nothing in this world. And finally, lesson number 6, I think we're on now, is your health is your wealth and it is 100% your responsibility. No doctor, no nurse, no sibling, no spouse can handle this responsibility for you. It is yours and yours alone. Your health is truly all that you have. So take care of it, because if you don't have it, it'll be the only thing on your mind. Lesson number 7, you need to laugh every fucking day. Like, I'm so serious about this. I am naturally a serious person. Like, my resting face is very bitchy. And I just realized that as we get older, life can become so serious. And it really does, right? There's a lot going on for all of us at any given time. But laughing literally makes you happier. It calms you down. It does so much for your general well-being that it's actually crazy how much we don't do it as adults. So I literally challenged myself to laugh every day, even if it meant I had to seek out laughter, like watching funny videos on YouTube or watching Family Guy. I don't know why those shows are so ridiculous and so stupid, but it gives me a little giggle, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. Children laugh on average like 300 to 400 times a day, and adults can barely churn out 15 to 20. That is so bad, guys. It's a statistic I heard a long time ago, and it actually made me so depressed. Whether you're watching a few minutes of giggles in the morning, right when you wake up, before you doom scroll, when you're having your coffee, or right before you go to bed, it truly will make you happier and you will look better. Trust me. That small joy keeps me from burning every bridge in sight. Life is already a dumpster fire. We might as well laugh while we watch it burn. Okay, now that we've talked about our health and fitness to exhaustion, let's talk about people, because people are weird. That includes you, that includes me, and there are some lessons I've definitely learned along the way. Lesson number 8, different politics can be okay, but different morals are absolutely not. So this distinction has saved me so much grief, and I hope it will for you as well. At the end of the day, everything is political. It's something I say very often. So whether you are quote unquote into politics or not, politics is involved in everything you do in this world. I think that politics we can debate. I think it's healthy. I think it's a lively discussion. And I think it's really important to challenge your beliefs. And the best way to challenge your beliefs is maybe to have a discussion with someone who feels otherwise. But core values and moral frameworks are not negotiable, in my opinion. And they matter infinitely more than any one political affiliation, which can ebb and flow. And you really want to talk to people who are open to their political affiliations to ebb and flow and not party over person. I find it a lot harder to relate to someone who's very party over person. I've also heard that in politics, a good metric is how you would help the most vulnerable in society, not debate on whether you'd help them or not. So think about it. Lesson number 9, reject the scarcity mindset. So this is something that plagues women a lot. I think it plagues people, but definitely women. And I think it plagues women a lot when it comes to dating. I could literally do a whole podcast on this. But When I did 50 first dates in 12 months, yes, I actually did that. It really just proved to me that scarcity mindset in dating is pointless. It's not that I had that beforehand, because truthfully, I didn't. I just choose to believe that there are 7 billion people in the world. There are lots of good men. There are lots of great women, and rinse, repeat. I don't really get stuck on too much of the negative commentary that's especially online when it comes to dating, because I just believe that what I'm seeking is seeking me, and whatever I go out into the world looking for, I'm going to find. The abundance mentality, I think, is a killer, and there's a clear difference. One thing I always say to my close friends is there's a clear difference between a woman who looks at life with an abundance mindset and who looks at life with a scarcity mindset. There's very few things I need to know about you to know which box you fall into. And I don't think your time on earth as a young, beautiful woman, which essentially is south of the age of 50 or 55, spending time believing that whatever she has means there's less for you. I just don't believe that. I don't think it's helpful. And most importantly, it's not real. The universe has enough for everyone. Everyone's blessings are valid. Everyone's dreams are valid. There's a really good quote, and I don't know where it's from, that basically every day we have, I think, a sheep and a wolf inside of us, and we decide which one we're going to feed. I think feeding the wolf is feeding your scarcity mindset, and feeding the sheep is feeding your abundance mindset. And you get to choose that every single day. Regardless of what is served to you, you can err on the side of positivity and know that everything you want is out there. Lesson number 10, friends grow at different paces and different directions. All of it is okay. I think that this is really key when it comes to how we look at friendships and to what degree, right? There's nothing wrong with a friend going in a different direction, completely different from you, as long as there's still love and mutual respect. Doesn't mean that there's love lost. It is just a moment in time, right? You may come back together. She may join you on your path. You may join her on hers. And that distance may continue forever and ever. And all of it is okay. I think this kind of ties into Mel Robbins' theory of let them, which I know, some people like, some people challenge, but I do think that letting your friends know you love them, you care about them, and you want them in your lives is a beautiful thing. And I think you should be upfront with your needs, your wants, and your desires, but ultimately giving someone the space and letting them live their life you need to do. Everyone is on their own path, but that doesn't mean that your paths can't intersect at different times in your life. Be open to it and don't resist change. Lesson number 11, when people want to go, let them leave or be dragged. Pretty self-explanatory. We know how I feel about this. It's something I say often and believe wholeheartedly. If someone wants to leave, grieve, cry, be angry, feel all the feels, but ultimately do not hold on to anyone, anything, or any place that needs to be set free. Delivery matters as much as the message. You're not keeping it real. You're just being a jerk. This is lesson number 12. When I see posts on social media about people can't handle real friends who tell the truth, this, that, and the third, honestly, I feel like my eye starts to twitch, because I just always wonder if there's more to that story or more to that situation that we're not getting. Delivery and tact are very important, guys. They matter enormously. You can tell someone almost anything if you're not being a complete ass about it. This truly gets lost in our speaking my truth era, and having tact isn't being fake. It's honestly about acknowledging that how we say things matter just as much, if not more, than what we're actually saying. This is super important no matter who you're talking to. Parent, child, friend, lover, coworker, whatever. Deliver messages with kindness and love. Be straight, be honest, be authentic, but wrap it up in a bow. Misery loves company, guys, and will try to recruit you aggressively. This is lesson number 13. So we've all heard this, right? Misery loves company, but it is a very real thing and something that you need to always kind of have like in your third eye, right at the top of your brain. I think this shows up in many different ways and can come through in many different forms. I think sometimes we just assume it's friends, but it can be in lovers. It can even be in family and parents. I think a really good way of sussing this out is if you are constantly dimming your light around someone because you feel like if you have something positive to share, they will have something negative to share. Another way of figuring this out is if you are getting advice, always consider the source. You want to make sure that You are getting advice from a pure and loving point of view, and not everyone is capable of doing that. So have a think before you take it to heart. You need to read more. This is lesson number 14. Reading makes you more interesting, and I'm sorry, scrolling on TikTok does not count. I've been reading since I was 3 years old, and it is single-handedly the most impactful thing in my entire life. It's the longest relationship I've ever had, and I think it always will be. It has improved my life every time I read something new, something impactful, something interesting. My brain scratches in the most delightful way, and it truly allows my mind to expand. I think a lot of people stop reading after they're finished with formal school because reading is forced upon you in school, and worst of all, a lot of literature that you might not be interested in is forced upon you as well. You can argue for good cause, but I know that was my struggle in school. The biggest thing I can tell you is just like moving your body in a way that's interesting and fun for you is to find pieces of literature and authors and genres that you really find interesting and you love and go from there. There is such a big value in reading, and I think a huge value of like a liberal arts education, for example, is because they're taught to read often, but most importantly through a critical lens. And that is something that is slowly dying in our society, unfortunately. You can speak to someone in general conversation and know pretty quickly off the top if they are well read or not. And I think reading is such a life hack to so many things. I could literally do a whole podcast on the benefits of reading as an adult. So whether it's short form, long form, book, academia, whatever it is, pick it up and read today. Your brain, your friends, your personality will thank you for it. Trust me on this. I will die on this hill. Lesson number 15, you should never should on your life. Question if your shoulds are actually yours or if you're living someone else's checklist. Again, self-explanatory. We often fall into these traps. I should own property by now. I should have kids by now. I should be married by now. I should want children. I should care about crypto. LOL. It's very toxic for women, especially regarding traditional life milestones. Challenge yourself. Every time you say that, I should be XYZ, I should think XYZ, I challenge you to go inward and be like, wait, do I actually feel that way? Do I actually agree with this decision, with this feeling? Do you actually want that thing? Or is it external pressure? Is it pressure coming from friends, from the media, from your parents, from patterns? You know, like sometimes we just feel we should do things because that's the pattern that we see. I stress this because I want you to dig deeper. Now, you may dig a little bit deeper and be like, no, I feel like I should have this car by this year, and that's something that I genuinely want. Then that's okay, right? As long as you're willing to go inward and ask yourself these questions. Where did it come from? You know, why do you feel like that? I think you just should live your life and work towards the things that you want and come what may. But I think the idea of this is ditching that fake desire and redirecting that mental energy towards experiences and things that you actually want in this life because you've been able to ask yourself the deeper question. Lesson number 16 ties into this really well. Check if your beliefs are still yours. You know, you might have always believed something because that's how you grew up. And then you wake up one day and you're like, wait, do I still believe that? Or are they just leftovers from your upbringing? You'd be surprised how many of your strong beliefs are just things you repeatedly heard growing up. And when you analyze it, peel back the layers and actually look deep, you don't actually resonate with those things at all. Lesson number 17, and I'm going to hold your hand while I say this. The world isn't fair, and you still have to move accordingly. Do not waste years of your life, days, or weeks being angry and frustrated at things that you cannot change. It is not your job to complain about the game you've been given and the cards you've been dealt. It is what it is. Accepting what feels like sometimes the unacceptable will shave so much grief off of your life. Fighting against inevitable realities depletes your energy. Strategize within your framework to get results in your life. Acknowledge the unfairness, cry, grieve, be upset, have your private rage moment. I love a rage moment. I've got a lot of rage. And then focus on your path forward. It's like complaining about the weather. Valid, especially in London, but ultimately pointless. Okay, let's talk about career and money, or how to survive capitalism with your soul intact. Lesson number 18, ladies, you can always earn more money. Your job is not your worth. I feel like a lot of people believe that the amount of money that they can earn is directly tied to the salary that they get at a specific job, and there's nothing outside of that. One, you can always change jobs, industries, whatever, and two, you can always create something for yourself. I want to harp on this because when I worked in sales, one thing I noticed was that one, there were not a lot of women, and two, the women were actually better at selling. Sorry, not sorry. And this should surprise no one. There's a lot of data that also says women are better investors. We're thoughtful, we're considerate. Our EQ is through the roof. And my male counterparts were far more persistent and were better at not taking no for an answer. And that was what led to their specific success. I think if you can combine that with a woman's EQ, she is unstoppable. I'm saying you can always earn more money, and this isn't necessarily your permission to just like blow your savings and like be irresponsible. It's more about having an expanded mind for your earning potential and what you are capable of. Like I said, people often tie their worth to their salary, which is as logical as measuring your intelligence by your shoe size. Your value in a capitalistic system comes from the problems you solve and the skills you offer. Leaving a secure corporate job, let's just say for consulting or content creation, will always feel terrifying at first, but there is no better investment than yourself. And if entrepreneurship is the path that you want to take on that, I wholeheartedly think you should do it. You should do it smart, but you should still do it. One, so that you don't have regrets. Two, because again, you can always earn more money. It is a lesson. It's something I believe in. Yes, it's a bit of a risk, but like everything good in life, no risk, no reward. So think about that, especially for my women in our 30s that are maybe a little bit more comfortable with our jobs, a little bit more comfortable with our positions, and we're really at a strong apex where we can continue on the path we've already created post-grad, or it's still a really good time. We're still young, we're still fresh to start a new one. So have a think. This is lesson 19. Looks matter more than we want them to. Unfair, but very, very true. Listen, we live in a shallow society. Ignoring this fact does not make you enlightened, just extremely unprepared and naive. People absolutely treat you differently based on how you present yourself. And newsflash, you also do it to other people. This shouldn't become an obsession, but pretending that your appearance doesn't matter gives you zero, and I cannot stress this enough, gives you zero advantage in the real world. Do not dismiss it as superficial. Do not dismiss it as vain. Obviously, there's levels to things, but it's not even about conventional attractiveness. This is about signals that you put out into the world, that your presentation sends people. Like it or not, packaging matters. Lesson 20. The people who talk the loudest about their achievements are almost always overcompensating. The colleague who mentions her very elite MBA every third sentence, or the person who randomly name drops when you are trying to get inside a club, overcompensating. You have to look for quiet confidence rather than being dazzled by people who claim to have done a lot, but you actually can see no proof. That doesn't mean poke holes in everyone's story because, one, that's annoying and unnecessary and says a lot about you. But people doing real work also don't always have the time to craft the perfect story. I think that's really important and something to know. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's real, but just because someone's blasting it in your face doesn't mean it's real either. Discernment is key here. True excellence speaks for itself. Mediocrity needs a microphone, lighting, a podcast, no pun intended. The point is people who do too much are usually not doing enough. Here's a few big sister wisdoms, or just stuff that sounds cheesy but actually works. Lesson number 21. You will regret inaction more than any action, so just do the fucking thing already. Take the solo trip, book the girls' trip, do your masters, take that job, move abroad by yourself. Just saying. The point is, you will regret things you didn't do more than things you did. So just do it. I can't even tell you how much time you spend in that gray space that doesn't serve you. You end up looking back on that time and saying, why did I put this off? Like, what did you gain from putting it off? The regret of what if haunts you. The regret of, well, I tried, will teach you. One keeps you up at night and the other makes you a more interesting woman. You choose. Which brings me straight into lesson number 22. Not deciding is still deciding. I was sitting on my therapist's couch one day and she looked me dead in my face and said, indecision is still a decision. And even if you're faced with two lukewarm options, you still have to make one. And I literally felt like she slapped me across the face. It was so clear and obvious and not the most profound thing I've ever heard. And it rocked me. She just was like, you have to choose something. And if you do nothing, AKA indecision, that's a decision and you're choosing to stagnate. The longer you stay in limbo, the more you're consciously selecting that limbo as your preferred state. Do not sit on the fence excessively. That is really the moral of this story. Make a decision. Sometimes it's not going to be as easy as good decision, bad decision. Sometimes they're both okay. Shit, sometimes they're both bad. You still got to make one. Do not stay in that gray area for too long. Lesson number 23 is for maybe my younger listeners. Standing for what's right often means you'll be standing alone. This is pretty self-explanatory, but just know that family, friends, and especially the workplace, if you decide to stick your neck out, separate from the crowd, and stand up for something that you believe in, it is often you will be doing it by yourself. Whether or not you are receiving private cheers, private support, when push comes to shove, most people are not going to go against the grain. It is something you should always know in the back of your head. Only you can decide if it's worth it. Pick and choose your battles carefully, but just prepare yourself. You will likely be fighting that battle solo. Buy more vintage clothes, bags, wine, men. Kidding, kind of. This is lesson number 24. The new stuff is getting bad, y'all. The new stuff is overpriced. It is poor quality. We are paying luxury prices for fast fashion skill set. Just kidding, but there's a middle ground in there where that's kind of correct. And it's just not worth it. My vintage shopping is increasing by the day. I've always been into it because I studied fashion in school, and I just feel like if you study fashion, you will always love vintage. It just kind of goes hand in hand because you're always studying the greats and you're always studying fashion history. And if you shop enough, you can tell that the quality of clothes has drastically decreased. It's decreasing, same with the quality of food. You could easily be shopping at a contemporary brand. You're talking mid-luxury, maybe 300 pounds, 500 pounds, and what you're wearing is polyester. And I'm not anti-polyester. There's absolutely a place for it, especially in our modern fashion. But we know when it's excessive, and we know when you're using it in place of something that could be a natural fiber. Give me a little silk. Give me a little cotton. Give me a little linen. Give me a little wool. Give me a cashmere. You're selling me a cashmere dress, and when I look at the fabric composition, there's 2% cashmere. That is not a cashmere dress. So buy more vintage, guys. I'm telling you. Your closet will thank you. It'll last so much longer, and you'll look different than everyone else. The beauty of rock bottom is that the only direction is up. It's lesson number 25. When you are feeling your absolute worst, acknowledge your feelings. Do not spiritual bypass. Stay in the moment. Go through it. Don't avoid it. But just know that the only way from this is up. Things can only get better. Whether that's finances, relationships, weight, anything where your heart is hurting. Just know that you can always rebuild, and the only direction from this moment is up. Sometimes the universe has to burn it all down so you can build something much better. Your life needs action and momentum. This is lesson number 26. Build momentum in your life or become a passive member in your own story. Little habits snowball into big ones. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be a monthly dinner with your friends, even if you're in a relationship, or a quarterly workshop to keep your brain from brain rot. You have to build momentum because it's shockingly easy to wake up at 40, 50, or 60 and just wonder how you became so passive in your own life. This is very important, guys. All these lessons are lessons I've learned on my own, but some of them really stick out for me, and this one does. You can really build momentum with tiny actions. One new recipe, one new book, one trip a year, maybe a trip somewhere new. Build momentum in your life. Chips make chunks, and no matter what it is you want to achieve, something small, something great, you have to start somewhere. You don't have to climb Mount Everest. Most people don't anyways. But my point is you don't have to do the big, great thing, and you don't have to set these crazy, lofty goals. You can start small and build on that. It can be maybe something as simple as your goal is you want to look presentable every day because you know that appearances matter. like we talked about. So maybe no matter where you're going, no matter what you're doing, you're going to get up and you're going to put yourself together every day. No leggings, no sweatpants, clothes every day. I harp on this because I believe in it so much. Maybe you're going to decide that you're not going to save any quote unquote nice clothes. Everything in your closet is up for grabs. There's no saving. There's no special occasion. There's no special day. There's no special anything. You're going to wear what's in your closet. It could be something as simple as that. For me, in COVID, full disclosure, was making my bed. I never used to make my bed before lockdown. Something about doing it during lockdown, because I wasn't leaving my house and I was forced to appreciate my space in a way that I never did before. Lockdown was very transformational for me in a lot of positive ways. I know that obviously everyone had their own experience, but for me, it was incredibly positive. I started to make my bed, and it's a habit that is stuck. I still make my bed every day. And I'm so happy for it. I'm literally smiling as I say that, because that is an example of me building some sort of action and momentum into my otherwise very weird day, especially at the beginning of lockdown. It was very odd to just be in the house all day, every day. So I really believe in this. Tell me some ways that you want to build momentum in your life, or ways that you have. You know where to find me: TikTok, on Instagram at Shantel Russo, or you can DM the show page, which is at The Sage Sorority on Instagram. We're also on TikTok and on YouTube. We're going to be uploading shorts, and when we start to make this a video podcast, slowly but surely, it'll be there as well. Lesson number 27, done is better than perfect. Perfectionism is just procrastination. We know this, right? We know if you label yourself as a perfectionist, that is not a good thing. You are procrastinating, you have control issues. We know that this is a thing, right? This podcast is my best example for this. I had an idea for a podcast many years ago, like before I even left Toronto. We're talking eons ago, guys. Never did it. Never acted on it. Just stayed in my brain, then made it to my iPhone notes. If you want to know anything about someone, especially a woman, just look at her iPhone notes. My iPhone notes are basically like my digital diary. Why did I not launch the podcast, guys? Could have done it many years ago. Who knows where I'd be now? Brainstorming, plotting, researching. All of these things have their place, but they are also excellent hiding spots for fear. And I mentioned in the first episode, the reset, that I had a huge mental block with this podcast. I think because I was so used to creating a certain type of content, and now I was going to do something completely different. One that is very fitting to me, but still very, very different and very public. And I had a clothing line for a little bit. That didn't go the way I wanted. And just the idea of investing in something, again, for free was really hard for me. Anyways, this isn't about me. The point is, done is better than perfect. You learn so much more by doing than you ever will by researching and reading and essentially watching someone else do it and tell you about it. You have to act now. You learn infinitely more by doing than reading about people who have done it. The point is, launch it today and you can learn more tomorrow. Lesson number 28, you only lose if you quit. Everything else is just feedback. I needed this. I still need this. But I definitely needed this a few years ago. When you take action and things aren't going that great, it is very easy and very tempting to quit. It is very easy to just say, you know what? I'm just going to exit stage left. It doesn't really seem like anyone's paying attention to what I'm doing anyways, so let me just leave. But I promise you, I would say 9 times out of 10, you actually just need to pivot and dive deeper into what you're doing instead of quitting. Seth Godin, he has a book, I think it's called The Dip. But anyways, the dip is essentially a slump that will eventually pass if you let it. He talks more about the creative process, but it's all relative. You kind of need to keep pushing through that dip and get to the other side, especially if you believe in what you're doing. And this means different things to different people. If you're trying to lose weight, this could be when you hit a plateau. If you are trying to run a business, this could be the moment before you start turning a profit. If you are a content creator, this could be a threshold right before you hit 1,000 subscribers or $1,000. Whatever it is, whatever your slump is, whatever your dip is, push through. This is not the moment where you quit. And most importantly, this is not the moment where you second guess yourself. You are doing the right thing. You are on the right path. And it's also a hard pill to swallow if maybe the things you've done in the past, you haven't had a dip. And now you are faced with one and it's causing you to second guess yourself. Do not second guess yourself. This is all a part of the process. Pivot whenever you need to. Take breaks whenever you need to. But persistence through strategic evolution isn't the same as stubborn repetition. Both require refusing to quit for the first, 5th, 10th, or 20th sign of trouble. The moral of the story is, keep going. Of course, I couldn't share 30 lessons without talking a little bit about the opposite sex. But lesson number 29 is a pretty straightforward one. It's, do you like him or do you like the idea of him? I think that this is a really good litmus check for any girl, for anyone who's dating a man, and maybe you're in early stages, you're not sure if it's end game yet, you're still figuring each other out, or if you're in the confusing place. Do you actually like him, or are you holding on to something that isn't there? Are you in love or in like with an idea you have in your head, potential where you see each other in the future, where you see him in the future, what you think your relationship could be? Do you like the man that is in front of you right now? And I would argue, do you want to be with that man? Because that is the only man that exists. It's not the one in your head, it's the one in front of you. You have to like him, not the idea. Make sure you like the person that's in front of you, not who he is on paper. You should be focused on the actual human connection, not the fantasy that you have in your head. Do you miss this person when they're not around, or just the role that they fill in your life? This key question can save you from the wrong relationships and keep you in tip-top shape for the right ones. And finally, lesson number 30 is men are followers by nature. Sorry, not sorry, controversial, but it's true. So I'll leave this with you here. Men who follow their own values and values that actually come from within, not from without, are typically like the healthiest relationships you're going to have. Men who are at least on the path to self-actualization and know they're good, bad, they're ugly are some of the healthiest relationships you're ever going to have. Men who can separate from the pack at any given moment based on what they know they need and they want are some of the healthiest relationships you're ever going to have. Now, are those the only key factors? Of course not. Men are the most variable substances in this world. We'll just leave it at that. But I think that women are coaxed very often into believing that men are leaders. I would challenge you to look at your relationships with men and where are you defaulting to the man based on the perceived assumption that they know more than you. Now, they might. In any given situation, you might say, oh, my boyfriend's way better at math than I am. Cool. There's no issue with that. If that's something that you actually know. But is it something that you're just making the assumption off of because he's a man and you're a woman? That is where I challenge you, because it's just not true. Women are fantastic leaders. Women are fantastically leading their homes and their communities, and they have been for thousands of years. Oftentimes men are not. They are thrusted into position that oftentimes they did not earn and they can't handle. I'll leave you with this, is a really good example of in the home. If men are leaders, then why do you always have to tell him what to do? Because I'm sure he can't keep his job that way, right? Have a think. And basically the idea of that is not to bash men, contrary to popular belief, but it's more to get you thinking and challenge our perception of what we believe to be true just because. I always want you to challenge your status quo. I always want you to challenge your beliefs. I always want you to challenge your shoulds. All of this. Living a life that is authentically yours will require you to look within instead of looking without. And that's what I want for you. I want that for myself. I want that for you and any other woman that I come across. I want your life to be unapologetically yours because you've given yourself the time and the space to think about it and to create it. So there you have it, guys. Those are my 30 lessons from my 30s. Some that I've already learned, some that I'm still learning, things that I will be reminded of every step of the way. Some of these I've learned the hard way. Some of these have come the easy way, but I've got receipts for everything, and I want to share them with all of you to help you be wiser, stronger, more opinionated, more of a badass in your life, TBH. Tell me which ones resonated with you the most, or any that you even disagree with. What would you add to your list? You know where to find me, Instagram, TikTok. Remember, no one has it all figured out. We're all making it up as we go along, and that is perfectly okay, as long as we are respectful to ourselves and others. Life is messy, and there's no way around it. So be easy on yourself. Thank you for listening. Have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.